3 a.m. Shocking truth. My lawyer's devastating call about my daughter-in-law will haunt you forever. The clock struck 3. Its chimes echoing through the stillness of the night. Felt cursed. I couldn't shake that feeling as the phone rang, an eerie, insistent sound slicing through the silence. My heart raced. I almost didn't want to answer. What could possibly happen at this hour that wasn't straight out of a horror movie? But there it was, the voice of my lawyer, drenched in urgency. "You need to sit down," he said, and I could hear the tremor in his tone. Each word fell heavy, hanging like a storm cloud over my thoughts. He spoke of my daughter-in-law, Vanessa, that sweet girl who seemed so innocent just months ago. But the truth twisted like a knife. Rumors. Secrets. Dark whispers swirling around her, things no one should ever know. They painted her not as the nurturing wife she once appeared, but as a shadow, a ghost hiding the darkest of horrors. And then came that chilling detail. A strange figure had been spotted lurking near her home. Neighbors reported it, claiming it watched her every move. Who did this? Why? Suddenly, the life I thought I understood broke apart like fragile glass. A lump formed in my throat, and I could feel my chest tightening. What had my family gotten tangled up in? After relaying through the web of suspicion, my lawyer dropped the bomb. "It's worse than you think." My pulse quickened. Was Vanessa in danger? It wasn't just a matter of gossip. This could be real. Could it be a twisted plot? My mind raced with every frightening possibility. What if she was hiding something, or worse, what if something had happened? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. This was just the beginning. The more I learned, the more lost I felt. My chest tightened with a mix of fear and disbelief. I had always trusted Vanessa. What changed? Every second clawed at my insides, leaving me restless and wanting answers. My imagination lingered on the unseen figure, the warnings of lurking eyes. What did they want? Why did they care? As I hung up, I stared into the darkness. Would I uncover the truth, or linger in the shadows forever, haunted by unanswered questions? I felt a chill creep through me. Time was running out. What would I discover if I dove deeper? What lay hidden beneath Vanessa's charming smile? I could almost hear the whispers calling me back into the night. The sun hadn't risen when I finally decided to act. That call had ignited something deep inside me. A raw, burning need to unravel the layers of this mystery. I couldn't just sit back, helplessly waiting for the darkness to swallow Vanessa whole. After some moments of pacing, I grabbed my coat and headed out the door. The air felt thick as I stepped into it, chilling me to the bone. I drove through the silent streets, the lights of the houses glowing dimly like watchful eyes. What if the figure was still out there? What if it wasn't just a figment of someone's imagination? My heart hammered as I imagined what I might find. Each minute felt like an eternity. When I finally reached Vanessa's neighborhood, everything looked eerily calm. The street was deserted, every house holding its breath. I parked my car and stepped out, the gravel crunching under my shoes as I approached her front door. My nerves were frayed, battling with the desperate hope that nothing was terribly wrong. I knocked softly, the sound echoing into the night. No answer. An unsettling silence enveloped me. I tried again, harder. Still nothing. My gut twisted. What if she needed me? What if that figure had gotten to her? I turned to peer through the window, squinting into the dim light inside. Shadows danced, but no one seemed to be there. Panic clawed at me. I couldn't ignore the feeling deep down that I needed to get inside. I reached for my phone, ready to call the police, when I noticed a flicker of movement inside, a figure darting past the other window. I pressed my palm against the cool glass, straining to see what was happening. Then I heard it. A soft whisper, a sound too faint to decipher, but enough to send a wave of cold dread crashing through me. I backed away and grabbed the doorknob, testing it for a moment before pushing the door open slightly. I needed to see for myself. Stepping over the threshold, the air felt different, heavy, charged with an unspoken truth. I called out her name. Vanessa? Silence responded, thick and oppressive. I moved cautiously, making my way through the darkened hallway, every shadow seeming to pulse with life. Suddenly a creaking sound echoed above me, a light footfall on the staircase. My breath hitched. Vanessa! I called again, though my voice trembled on exiting my lips. From the corner of my eye, I noticed something out of place, a letter resting on the kitchen table. I approached it, a horrible intuition settling in. As I picked it up, my fingers brushed against something cold, the stark reality of what it contained. The moment I opened it, my heart sank lower than I thought possible. It was a note, cryptic and scrawled in a hurried hand. I know your secret. I'm watching you. You can't hide from me. Just then a loud crash echoed upstairs, followed by a frantic cry, Vanessa. Adrenaline surged through me as I ran towards the staircase. I could feel the heat of fear racing through me, urging me onward. What had I just awakened? What had Vanessa been hiding? As I reached the top of the stairs, it hit me, not only was she in immediate danger, but a darkness loomed over everything I thought I knew. How deep did this go? And then I heard it, a fleeting shadow darting into another room. I followed, my heart pounding, racing toward the truth. Was this the moment I would uncover the horror knotting our lives together? Or the moment I would fall into a deeper abyss? Just how far would I go to protect my family? The door swung closed behind me with a heavy thud. The room was dim, with only the faint light from the street lamp filtering through the curtains. I stepped inside, feeling the cold grip of fear tighten around me. My senses heightened, every creak of the floorboards under my feet felt like a looming judgment. Vanessa! I called again, a little louder this time. My voice trembled, wavering like a candle's flame in a storm silence. Then, a ragged breath escaped from somewhere within the room. It wasn't just the shadows that announced the presence of danger. It was the weight of something indescribable hanging in the air, thickening with each tick of the clock. I wanted to turn back, escape this suffocating atmosphere, but I couldn't. I couldn't leave her alone. The door in front of me was slightly ajar. I approached it, each step deliberate and cautious. Gripping the frame, I pushed it open, heart racing as the hinges groaned under the pressure. The bedroom was nearly dark, a faint light spilling from the bedside lamp. It revealed Vanessa, huddled in the corner, her back against the wall. Her eyes were wide and frenzied, like a deer caught in the headlights. Please, she whispered, her voice barely above a breath, you shouldn't have come here. My chest tightened like a vice. Fear and confusion danced in my gut. What happened? Are you okay? Where is he? Who? She blinked rapidly, as if waking from a nightmare, her fingers shaking. Yes, coming for me. He knows our secret. The cryptic note replayed in my head, slicing through the tumult inside me. What secret? What are you talking about? Before she could answer, a muffled sound echoed from the hallway. A heavy thud followed by a low chuckle. My heart sank. Whoever was out there had made their way inside, a predator hunting its prey. Get behind me! I whispered urgently, positioning myself in front of her like my body could somehow shield her from whatever darkness was creeping closer. Panic surged as I strained to listen, inching toward the door, forcing myself to breathe slowly. The intruder's footsteps grew heavier, more deliberate, causing the floor to vibrate. Instinct screamed at me to flee, but I wasn't running. Not until I had answers. Then suddenly the door swung open with a violent crash. The figure before me was cloaked in shadows, their features obscured. Looking for me? They grinned, but there was nothing friendly about that smile. It felt like the grin of a wolf, all fangs and predation. What do you want? I managed to get the words out, spinning to shield Vanessa further. I want what's mine, the figure said smoothly, stepping further into the room. Closer, closer. You have something I need and I've waited too long for it. Adrenaline coursed through my veins. You're not taking her. I won't let you. With a swift motion, I pushed Vanessa back behind me. But as I turned to confront the shadowed figure, something else caught my eye. It was a reflection in a nearby mirror, brief but jarring. My breath hitched as the truth clawed at my throat. Secrets don't just die, they haunt you. And in that moment I realized the depth of the darkness before me wasn't only about Vanessa. It reached deep into my past, intertwining our fates, and I was teetering on the brink of revelation. What was truly at stake? The answer lurked just beyond my grasp, tantalizing and terrifying at once. The figure took a step forward, and the horror escalated. Would we confront our demons together? Or would we be torn apart by their insatiable hunger? With nowhere to run, I faced the truth looming before us, the stakes higher than I ever imagined. The figure loomed closer, the darkness swirling around them like a shroud. I squared my shoulders, trying to exude confidence that was quickly evaporating under the weight of the threat. "What do you want from us?" I demanded, my voice trembling but firm. The grin widened, revealing teeth that gleamed unsettlingly in the dim light. "I have a debt to settle. Something you took away from me. And I intend to reclaim it." Vanessa shivered behind me, her breaths coming in quick gasps, and I could feel her fear radiating off her like heat. "You don't have to do this," I shouted, hoping my words could somehow penetrate the creature's heart of darkness. "Just leave us alone." The intruder chuckled lowly, humorless. "Oh, but you've already made yourself part of this game. The moment you stepped into her life, you sealed your fate. Secrets bind us together, you know? And you are as much a player as she is." My mind raced. What did that mean? I needed to buy time to figure this out to keep Vanessa safe. "Just tell me what you think I have, and maybe we can work something out," I shouted, shifting my weight and adjusting my stance, ready for anything. But he only laughed again, a sound that slithered through the air, twisting my insides. "You really don't know, do you? It's almost adorable. But let me be clear. I will do whatever it takes to get what's mine, even if it means tearing down the web you've spun." He lunged forward and my instincts kicked in. I sidestepped just in time, feeling the rush of air as he missed his mark. I reached for Vanessa's hand. "We need to get out of here." But she was rooted to the spot, eyes wide, not really seeing me anymore. "He's right, you don't understand." The intrusion of a new realization shot through me like ice. "Vanessa, what secret? What is he talking about?" Panic clawed at my throat as I tried to shake sense into her. "I didn't want to tell you. I thought I could protect you." Her voice broke, her hands trembling. "It's about my past. Something I did to him. Something I didn't want to remember." A shiver ran down my spine. I felt the walls closing in as confusion raged within me. This wasn't just about her. It was about us, about choices we made without realizing the consequences. "Tell me," I cried, desperation spilling from my every word. "The child," she whispered, her voice barely making it over the pounding heartbeat in my ears. "He thinks the baby is his." My entire world shifted. The revelation landed like a lead weight, a dark pit forming in my stomach. "No, it can't be." I took a step back, my mind racing to process the terror of her words. "You couldn't, that's why I had to run," she pleaded, her eyes glistening with tears. "I didn't want to drag you into this." The shadowed figure chuckled darkly, closing in again. "Time's up. Here's the deal. Give me the child and I might just let you both walk away." Rage erupted within me, igniting a fire I didn't know I possessed. "You think I would ever willingly hand over a child to a monster like you? You think I'd let you win?" Vanessa's grip tightened on my arm, and I could see realization dawning in her eyes. "What do we do?" In that moment, with every nerve on fire and breath trembling on the edge of a scream, I knew we were at a crossroads. "It's time to fight back," I declared, my voice breaking through the fog of fear. "To end this once and for all." But as I readied myself for the confrontation, a sudden crash came from the window, the sound of shattering glass echoing through the room. My heart skipped a beat. Something or someone was just getting started. And somewhere in the chaos, a new threat lurked, leaving us wondering if this was merely the beginning of a nightmare we couldn't escape. The room erupted in chaos. Glass rained down like deadly raindrops, and I instinctively pulled Vanessa behind me, shielding her from whatever had just invaded our world. The figure paused, eyes narrowing at the new threat, tension crackling in the air. I paid little attention to the shadow lurking in the corner as adrenaline flooded my veins. There was only one thing on my mind: keeping Vanessa safe. My chest tightened, each heartbeat sounding like a drum echoing through the suffocating silence. Then I saw him. A dark silhouette stepped through the jagged remains of the window frame. He was tall, cloaked in shadows, and the glint of something metallic caught the fleeting light. My breath hitched. What did it mean? Was he a friend or another foe? Step aside, I'm here for the girl, he growled, his voice low and filled with menace. The intruder, who had been about to strike, turned back, disdain pooling in his eyes. You think you can take her from me? You don't know what's at stake, do you? But the new figure simply smirked, his lips curling cruelly. I know more than you think. This is bigger than any of us. Vanessa trembled beside me, a shiver coursing through her. Who are you? She squeaked, her voice barely a whisper. Just a man who has come to collect what's due, he replied, his eyes boring into mine. But don't worry, I can show you the way out of this, if you're willing to play along. My mind raced, processing his words. What game? What did he know? And how could I trust anyone anymore? Every moment felt like a fracture in reality. Time was slipping through my fingers like sand. Get away from her, I yelled, suddenly bold with desperation. I shoved Vanessa behind me, ready to confront this new threat. Fear lay heavy in my stomach, but there was something deeper urging me onward. Oh, sweet child, the man chuckled, his voice dripping with false sympathy. You have no idea what you're fighting against. I'm afraid your little defiance won't get you far. The child, he glanced at Vanessa, eyes gleaming with malice. She's not the only one at risk here. What do you mean? Vanessa blurted, stuffing her hands into her pockets, a futile attempt to shield herself from the danger closing in. The past is clawing its way back to the surface, the intruder warned, leaning closer, venom lacing his words. And I'm only here to speed along the inevitable. His revelation felt like a punch to the gut. Was this about more than just her past? A breath caught in my throat. The enormity of it all was almost too much to bear. Enough of this, my original opponent shouted, lunging for the intruder. They collided, and suddenly the room erupted into a whirlwind of chaos. Fists flew, bodies slammed against furniture, glass scattered across the floor like stones in a riverbed. Vanessa stood frozen, helpless as the fight unfolded before us. Time seemed to be suspended, a surreal moment where everything moved in slow motion. I forced myself to stay grounded, to think clearly. Vanessa! I shouted above the tumult, grabbing her hand, pulling her toward the door. We have to go. Now. But before we could escape, a loud crack rang out like thunder, shaking the very foundation of the building. The noise sent shockwaves through me, and I turned just in time to see something flying toward us. Get down! I yelled, instinctively covering Vanessa as everything went dark. And when the silence returned, it wasn't just the room that felt different. It was us, suspended in a moment of fear and uncertainty that stretched into an endless abyss. What happened next would define everything. Would we survive the storm gathering around us, or were we destined to become pawns in a game far more dangerous than we ever imagined? The darkness wrapped around us like a thick blanket, heavy and suffocating. My heart raced, pounding against my ribcage as I struggled to regain my senses. Vanessa gasped beside me, her small body trembling against mine. I instinctively held her tighter, hoping to instill some kind of courage within her. Can you see anything? I whispered urgently, trying to peer through the veil of shadows. No, it's so dark, she whimpered, her voice barely a breath against the thick silence. Fear choked me. I couldn't let this moment define us. Suddenly, a faint flicker of light danced in the distance. I blinked, not sure if it was real or just a figment of my overwhelmed mind. The chaos from moments ago felt like a tempest trapped in my memory. Was the fight still happening? Had the world outside collapsed altogether? Stay close, I instructed, pulling Vanessa with me, inching toward the light. Each footfall felt like a gamble. We were moving into the unknown, and every instinct screamed for me to turn back, to hide. But turning back meant giving up, and that wasn't an option. As we crept forward, shadows twisted around us, morphing into grotesque shapes that whispered threats I couldn't understand. My palms were slick with sweat, and I wiped them on my jeans, forcing myself to breathe deeply. I needed to be the rock she relied on, no matter how deep the darkness seemed. Then, without warning, a figure emerged from the dim glow. It was the intruder, the one who had promised to collect what was due. My stomach sank. Had we walked right into his trap? Ah, there you are, he said, his voice smooth and enticing. I wondered if you'd have the sense to join me. What do you want? I spat back, attempting to sound more confident than I felt. The words tasted bitter on my tongue. To show you something that will make this all clearer, he replied, stepping closer. I felt Vanessa stiffen beside me, her tiny frame quaking under the weight of uncertainty. In the back of my mind, alarm bells rang. And why would we trust you? I challenged, drawing Vanessa behind me as I mentally prepared myself for whatever twisted game he had in mind. He chuckled darkly, because refusing me would be a monumental mistake. As he spoke, my eyes adjusted and I could finally make out the room's surroundings, a shattered room. Pieces of furniture splintered like bones scattered on the ground. Broken glass twinkled like little stars, a harsh reminder of the chaos we had just endured. Let us cut the pleasantries, he continued, his demeanor shifting from charming to dangerous. You want to understand what is happening to her, don't you? A chill crept up my spine. The way he said her sent a warning signal through me. Did he know more about Vanessa than I did? The weight of his insinuation lingered in the air. Vanessa, I said slowly. Just stay back. Tell me, I pressed, my voice steady even as my heart raced. What do you know? More than you can comprehend, he replied, his eyes glittering with amusement. It's not just about the past. It's about chains and ties, things that bind you together in ways you've yet to fathom. I took a step forward. Stop playing games. What do you want? Survival, he said simply, as if that was all that mattered. But to survive, we need to understand why they're coming for both of you. Why they're willing to turn the world upside down. A cold dread settled in my stomach. What was this man hinting at? Before I could respond, a loud crash echoed from behind us, shattering the moment. The door we had tried to escape through flew open, revealing a figure silhouetted against the light outside, a blur of motion, a silhouette that seemed all too familiar despite the chaos. Get down! The voice yelled, and I grabbed Vanessa, pulling her close as shadows raced toward us, hungry shadows that promised more danger and deceit than I had ever anticipated. Who was coming for us now? And was this new arrival friend or foe in a game growing far more deadly than I could imagine? The moment froze, anticipation hanging thick like smoke in the air. I clenched Vanessa tighter, shielding her from the unknown. The shadows shifted, their dark forms swirling with a life of their own, inching closer to us. I could feel the tension crackling, electric, a sickening mixture of dread and adrenaline coursing through my veins. Who is that? I shouted into the darkness, trying to pierce the veil of anxiety that enveloped us. The figure outside stepped forward. I strained to see, heart pounding in my ears. It was Derek. Relief flooded through me, quickly drowned by confusion. What was he doing here? Hadn't he been caught in the chaos like everyone else? What are you doing? How did you find us? I called out, desperate for answers. Doesn't he matter right now? He shouted back, urgency twisting his features. You need to move. They're coming. Who's coming? Vanessa trembled against me, her wide eyes reflecting pure terror. I glanced down at her, wishing I could erase the fear from her face. No time. Trust me, Derek urged, his voice a raw whisper laced with panic. The intruder paid us no mind, still basking in the shadows, his smirk widening as if savoring our turmoil. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted, the distant rumble of footsteps echoed ominously from the hall. My gut churned. This was it. Whatever was happening was about to come crashing into us like a tidal wave. Now! Derek yelled, darting toward us, urgently waving us over to the narrow opening he had created. I hesitated, instinctual fear fighting against my need to protect Vanessa. But I couldn't allow the panic to overtake my judgment. Stick with me, I commanded, pulling Vanessa from behind me as we raced toward Derek, the flickering light in the doorway leading us to safety or straight into the lioness den. Just as we reached him, the room shook with a deafening crash. The intruder's laughter transformed into a sinister growl. You can't escape the truth. The chilling words hung in the air, as I pushed Vanessa through the opening. Derek followed closely, and in that moment clarity struck. What truth? Why would this man wield such power over our fate? Outside the room, the hallway felt alive with a different kind of terror. An unsettling hum flickered within the walls, and shadows lurked around every corner. We slid into the corridor, trapped in the stark light. Which way? I gasped, scanning for an escape route, but Derek only pointed further down the hall as if sensing something we could not. Stay behind me and run, he ordered. I didn't question him. I didn't have time to. However, as we sprinted forward, a blood-curdling scream erupted behind us. The sound sliced through the air, freezing my bones. It wasn't just a scream. It was a premonition of everything that awaited us. What was that? Vanessa cried, her voice shaking as we dashed down the hall. Just keep moving. I pressed, adrenaline fueling my legs, each stride echoing with desperation. My mind raced, frantically piecing together what had led to this moment. But then a sharp turn in the corridor revealed something unexpected, a barricade of darkness enveloping the end of the hall. The shadows rose like a wall, pulsating with energy, ready to engulf us. What is this? Derek said, panic flooding his voice for the first time. It's like they know we're here. I gasped, the reality crashing down on me. Derek pushed forward, examining the shadows as if trying to find a weak point. But the closer we drew to it, the more I felt a chilling grasp creeping up my spine. Were we walking into oblivion? Suddenly, a low, echoing voice seeped from the darkness, resonating within my very being. You cannot run from your fate. It was a statement that twisted my stomach into knots. As the shadows began to engulf us, I grasped Vanessa's hand tighter. How could this be happening? Fight it! I shouted at Derek, casting one last glance back at the both of them. We couldn't give in. Not when questions loomed over us, powerful questions that could unravel everything. But as the darkness wrapped around us, sealing off our escape, I realized in that moment, the only escape was to confront the truth head-on. And would I be ready for what it revealed? What other dark realities awaited us beyond the veil of shadows? And just as the darkness threatened to consume us, a blinding light pierced through the light we had chased all along. But would it lead us to salvation or seal our fate forever? The answer hung tantalizingly out of reach. The light expanded, bright, blinding. It had the warmth of hope but held the chill of uncertainty. I squinted, trying to make sense of the radiance, the shadows retreating just enough to allow us a glimpse of what lay ahead. It flickered nervously, then strengthened, illuminating the way like the entrance to a long-forgotten sanctuary. We have to go through, Derek urged, his voice slicing through the tension that gripped me. There was an urgency in his tone that tore through my paralysis. I nodded, swallowing back my fear. Come on, Vanessa, I shouted, pulling her forward. Yet she hesitated, eyes locked on the darkness behind us, still alive with whispers of dread. We can't just leave it behind, she cried, panic spilling into her voice. It's either we face that, I pointed back at the looming shadows which stirred like a restless beast, or we trust the light. Derek grabbed her shoulder firmly. We don't have time. What's behind us is worse than what's ahead. I felt her tremble but then saw the flicker of resolve in her gaze. As if by a silent agreement, she squeezed my hand, and we thrust ourselves forward into the light. The moment we stepped through, the darkness hissed like a what-the-hell trickle of fear retreating from our advance. The blinding brilliance suddenly evaporated, and we stumbled into a small room. It was damp and hollow, the walls bearing the weight of long silenced screams. The air hung thick with dust and must. It clung to my throat, almost suffocating. What is this place? I breathed, surveying our surroundings, heart racing. Derek lowered his voice. This is a safe space for now, but we have to be quick. He flashed an uneasy glance back at the door we had just passed through. They won't stop, and neither will the truths we're after. What do you mean? Vanessa whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. Derek pulled something from his pocket, an old, frayed photograph. This might help us understand. I wasn't sure it was real until now. He handed it to me, his hands trembling that I reached for it, feeling the weight of its mystery in my palm. The crumpled image depicted a group of unfamiliar faces, each one locked in a moment of laughter, but there was something sinister in it, the gnarled shadows in the background, creeping toward them like twisted fingers reaching for flesh. Where was this taken? I rasped, studying the details, searching for answers in the warped edges. Before it all went down. Before they came for us. His words hung in the air, heavy with unshed angst. This is connected to what they're after. Vanessa gasped suddenly, staring at a figure in the picture. A woman with hauntingly familiar features. Wait, that looks like my mom, she exclaimed, eyes wide with shock. A cold wave washed over me as I considered the implications. What had my family been hiding? Your mom? I echoed, feeling the walls close in around me. But why suddenly the door behind us rattled violently. Each shake intensified the tension, sending cold spikes of fear racing up my spine. We need to find answers fast, Derek insisted. They can sniff us out. In that moment, something shifted in the atmosphere. The shadows seemed to whisper secrets, tantalizing and taunting. We were trapped between looming uncertainty and the need to unearth buried truths. Footsteps echoed ominously, approaching swiftly. Let us figure out what this means, I urged, adrenaline spurring me on. Vanessa, what else do you remember? What was she involved in? Too much. It was always too much, she murmured, almost to herself, the weight of her legacy pressing down. If we can just piece this together. As the door groaned, about to burst open, I realized our only choice lay in confronting the past. What dark secrets could we unearth about Vanessa's mother? And would they offer salvation, or seal our destinies in a far more horrific tale than we had ever imagined? The door rattled again, this time louder, more insistent, as if something or someone was hellbent on charging through. My heart raced. The shadows outside seemed to stretch, reaching for us with greedy, unseen hands. I pressed the photograph closer, as if it could somehow shield us from whatever nightmare lay beyond. We can't let them in, I hissed, glancing at Derek, who appeared paralyzed with fear. Vanessa's breath was quickening beside me, her eyes darting nervously between the door and the photograph in my hand. Maybe there's a way out another door? She suggested, her voice trembling. Derek shook his head, eyes still fixed on the doorway. No, this is it. We face this or we become a part of their shadows. His words ignited something fiercely protective inside me. I wasn't ready to surrender, not yet. Then what do we do? Vanessa looked at me, desperation cutting through her fear. I could hear the footfalls getting louder, echoing like thunder, mingling with my thoughts. If we were going to understand why Vanessa's mother had been in that photo, we needed to confront whatever was coming for us. The only way out of this was through. Derek, tell us more about that picture, I said, my voice steadying as determination took hold. Why is it significant? He took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts like a man preparing to face a storm. It's not just that they want it. This event, this gathering, it wasn't innocent. It was a point of no return for many. Your mother, Vanessa, was a part of something monumental. Those shadows in the picture? They weren't just observers. He swallowed hard. They were the hunters. A cold realization washed over us. The laughs in that photograph suddenly morphed. The carefree expressions now seemed sinister and welcoming all at once. Hunters, Vanessa echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. They roam for those they deemed worthy for power, and those they would sacrifice to maintain it. He paused, scrambling through memories buried deep. And your mother, she has something they want. Dread filled the room. I pressed a hand to Vanessa's shoulder. We have to figure out what she knew. But the door shuttered again, concealed beams of light slipping through the gaps. They were almost inside. Desperate, I scanned the room, searching for anything useful, but it was barren. My gaze flew back to the photograph as if it were a lifeline. What happened after this picture was taken? I pressed. What did they do? Everything fell apart, Derek said, his voice heavy with grief. I lost track of who was hunted, who was in power. Those who knew the truth became victims or disappeared. They were taken because they sought it or tried to fight back. Taken? Vanessa breathed, her expression transforming into one of haunted understanding. Footsteps stomped closer. I could almost see the shadows gathering, thickening into a terrifying form. We have no time, I shouted. We need to find a way to fight back or the door burst open, splintering wood exploding in a shower of splinters. Standing in the doorway was a silhouette, framed by pulsating darkness that seemed almost alive. It snarled, a low growl reverberating like thunder, and the air turned electric with fear. I felt the weight of the photograph slip from my fingers, flailing as time stretched. Run! I yelled, shoving Vanessa forward as dread clawed at my throat. But as we turned to flee, the figure stepped into the dim space, its features coming into focus in the flickering light. My heart, already hammering in my chest, dropped at the sight that would forever change everything we thought we knew. It wore a familiar face, and I realized too late the truth meant for us all along. Would confronting this shadow bring our answers? Or was it a death sentence we couldn't escape? Everything spiraled into chaos in that moment. The figure stepped fully into the room, its face illuminated by that wretched light, and it felt like the ground had fallen out beneath me. I couldn't breathe. The truth came crashing down, a heavy weight in my chest. It was the last person I ever expected to see, the very woman from the photograph, Vanessa's mother, standing before us like a ghost from memories long buried. "Mom?" Vanessa's voice trembled, the word almost lost in disbelief. The emotional devastation etched across her face twisted my heart. This was not the reunion any of us would have imagined. "I didn't want you to know," the woman whispered, her voice jagged and raw. "I thought I could protect you." The shadows crept closer, threatening to swallow us whole. Vanessa's mother began to step forward, her expression desperate yet tormented. "You need to trust me," she pleaded, urgency in her tone. "Everything you think you know isn't real." "Why?" I shouted, fueled by a mix of rage and confusion. "Why did you leave? Why are they after you? Why are you here now?" Each word burst forth, demanding answers as the darkness continued to writhe and thrash outside, hungry for our fear. She began, but her words faltered as noises echoed behind her. "I was part of something darker. I didn't know its depths until it was too late. But I had to hide. They'll come for you if they find out you're connected to me. They'll come for Vanessa. They've already risked too much." Vanessa's eyes glistened with unshed tears, confusion twisting her features into something heart-wrenching. "But you can help us. I can only protect you if you understand. You have something they want, the truth about where you came from, about your bloodline." The shadows slithered closer, hauntingly persistent. "You're tied to this. Stop," I demanded, desperate to keep my feet on solid ground while everything rocked beneath me. "You can't say that. You have to explain what you mean, why they want Vanessa, or what's even happening here." The words fell into a silence weighted with tension. The silence shattered like the horror clinging to us. "They'll find you here," Vanessa's mother said, and suddenly light flickered around her as if the shadows themselves were retreating in recognition of her presence. "They'll always find you. We need to move. Now." With resolve igniting within me, I grabbed Vanessa, who was still in shock. "Trust her, Vanessa. She knows something." Vanessa nodded hesitantly, uncertainty mingling with desperation. I turned to her mother. "Give us a way out. We need answers. We have to know how to fight, how to save ourselves." Her eyes flared with recognition, a spark igniting the shadows around her. "Follow me." We moved as fast as lightning through the small damp room, squeezing into another corridor through a narrow crack between two walls. It felt like breathing fresh air for the first time after being submerged under icy water. Suddenly, the shadows outside wrenched the door, splintering it in their grotesque thirst for us. I felt a chill that sliced through my guts. "They're close. This way," Vanessa's mother shouted, darting down an unexpected corridor lit by flickering light bulbs that buzzed in warning as we ran deeper into the hidden space. The musty scent of dust and dampness clung to the air. We finally reached a door at the end of a dying hallway. Panic clawed at my throat as I pressed my palm against the cool metal, my heart echoing with each thud. I dared to hope. "Wait." Vanessa's mother halted us, raising a shaky finger. "There's a chance some of them could be waiting on the other side. Please, I cannot lose you again." She searched Vanessa's face, fear and love intertwining. I looked at Vanessa, her chest rising and falling rapidly, eyes wide with uncertainty yet burning with a flicker of strength. "We can do this together. We just can't stop fighting." Vanessa swallowed, drawing in a breath that sparked the fire of courage within her. "I'm with you. Let us face it. We can't back down now." With a whoosh, I threw the door open, ready to plunge into whatever lay beyond, my family's fate resting in the balance. The light flooded in brilliant, blinding, and fierce, racing toward us like fate itself, a wild orchestra of echoes vibrating through the air. Past the door, shouts erupted, and a chorus of chaos greeted us. "Run!" I yelled as we leaped through the threshold, the shadows lingering behind us like regrets left unspoken. And as the world exploded with sound and movement around us, I felt the weight of adrenaline surge through my veins. This was our fight now, a fight to unearth the truth, to sever the chains that bound us, and above all to reclaim our lives from the shadows that haunted us. Together, we would face whatever was waiting on the other side of the light. We would tear through the darkness, fearing nothing because what lay ahead was not just survival, it was a destiny worth chasing. As we charged into the unknown, Hand in hand, three souls forged into warriors against the night, we began to redefine everything we thought we understood. Hope surged through the cracks, threatening to ignite the world anew. And though the fight for our lives was just beginning, I knew we would never walk alone again, so here's the deal: I need your help right now. If you don't want to miss any of the thrilling stories coming next, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Smash that like button now to help the algorithm, and flood the comments with your mind-blowing theories and reactions about this wild conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this thrilling ride with us. Your support means everything to this channel and this community, and together we can keep unraveling the extraordinary.